Do you guys know the whole theory about how when people die in one timeline, they shift into another? I think that may have happened to me. Back in early July of this year, my family, male 45, female 54, me 19, brother 16, sister 13, were going on a road trip to Montana to visit our grandparents. Prior to the trip, I had a horrible feeling about going. I kept having flashes of car accidents in my head, and I was sure that we were going to get into one if we left. It was so strange because I have a pretty severe anxiety disorder, but this didn't feel like my anxiety at all, and I never have anxiety about road trips. I love them. So we left Saturday of that week. I had told my parents I had a bad feeling about driving up there, but they dismissed me as being anxious. But I had never felt so certain about something in my life. Getting into that car felt like signing my death sentence. So we get about 6 hours in, and at this point, I start to think I was being ridiculous, and a wave of calmness just washes over me. This is where shit gets strange. My dad passes an underpass, and everything just shifts. I feel like I saw everything in slow motion for a whole 4 minutes or so. My parents were joking beforehand, but their faces moved so slowly, and then the light in the car started to shift. This was the scary part because I thought I must have been going insane. For a few seconds, there was a huge illumination of light into our car, and I looked at my family and could not tell who they were or what they meant to me. And then it's like everything just came back. The light shifted back, and I knew who everyone was. But it felt like something imperceptible had changed. I closed my eyes and tried to make sense of the past few minutes, and when I reached back to remember, I saw blood, our car, and another minivan in shambles on the side of the highway right beyond the underpass, and mangled bodies. I remembered sensations I should not have known, what spattered brain matter looks like, the smell of something burning, the way I couldn't breathe, but this never happened. Yet I remember that the car in front of us had switched lanes even though there was a truck in front of us, realized it at the last second, and hit us with a lateral impact. I have no history of psychosis, and I have never been in any sort of car accident. This wasn't PTSD, and I've never had anxiety over being in the car in any sort of way prior to this. And maybe I could have just brushed it off, but I still think about it when I'm driving in my own car, and it's made me a more cautious driver. I don't know what happened. It was just a weird situation, and I remember having the distinct feeling in that moment that I had died in some sense. I'm not a spiritually sensitive person by any means. I'm a scientist at heart, but this truly was something I cannot explain, and I fully accept that I might be reading too much into this, and for some reason, I imagined an event that never happened, but I thought I would share it anyways. I recently moved into a new house in a new country. When I moved in, the house was empty. No furniture, no appliances, no light bulbs even. I only had 2 suitcases with me. I spent a whole day wiping all the surfaces and mopping the floors. The day after, I gradually unpacked my suitcase and slowly filled the closet with my things. The morning after I unpacked, I noticed something hanging in my closet in a clearly visible spot. A gold necklace with a heart-shaped pendant. It wasn't mine. I don't wear necklaces. It certainly wasn't there when I cleaned or unpacked. Not one to jump to conclusions, I called the landlord to ask if she had entered my house while I might have been out shopping for food or cleaning supplies. I asked her if she had left something for me. She said she hadn't. I asked her if the previous renters had returned their key. She said they did, but she had changed the locks with every new tenant anyways. I couldn't think of any other explanation. I lock all the doors and windows before leaving the house, and only keep a window open in my bedroom when I sleep. I didn't touch the necklace. Where I'm from, shiny things suddenly appearing are said to be offerings and invitations from other beings to newcomers in a house. Accepting these objects makes you indebted to them. I always wrote that off as a quirky way of telling people not to take shit that isn't theirs, until this happened. I left the necklace in the closet. A few days later, it disappeared. First time poster here. Finally had a glitch happen to my boyfriend and I recently. We bought a house back in April, right when COVID got serious and everything was shut down, so we couldn't file certain paperwork for our tax exemptions at the time. We bought a house back in April, right when COVID got serious and everything was shut down, so we couldn't file certain paperwork for our tax exemptions at the time that they needed to be done by a certain date. I was going to file the paperwork by myself because I work from home, but I'd found that because my boyfriend and I aren't married, we both have to go down and sign the papers for the tax exemption. We finally have a day where he can come with me because he's going in late, and as soon as we stepped into this office, it was like walking back in time. The office seemed oddly familiar, like I had been there before. We're busy chatting up the lady as she's looking up the papers that we need to sign for the tax exemptions, and all of a sudden she says, "They're already filed." My boyfriend and I are looking at each other funny because we know we haven't come down to sign and file these papers. We explained to her that we had never been there before, and she then says she swears that she remembers us coming in and doing this paperwork. I will say that she definitely seemed familiar to me, like I've talked to her before. She does some more digging on her computer and says that the document isn't even there, but it says that it was filed. She prints us the form, we sign them, and off we go. As we walked back to our car, we are both utterly shocked that this glitch happened to us at the same time. This happened earlier this evening and still has me scratching my head. I get home from work around 5:30 every day, just like I did today. I went back into my bedroom to change out of my work clothes and into something more comfortable. After that, I went to the kitchen to get some things together to make dinner. The wife and I alternate days. I was in the kitchen pulling out meat from the fridge. The way our house is laid out is that the kitchen is to the immediate left of the entrance. My back was to the door because the fridge is on the far wall. I know I heard the front door open. I know I heard my wife say hi and her walking back to the bedroom. I know I answered her, and I know I'm not on drugs. I never heard her car pull up though, which can't be because our kitchen looks out over the front yard. I always hear her when she pulls up. It didn't really click for me that that was unusual until I looked out of the kitchen window while cleaning some vegetables. Her car wasn't there. She didn't go back out, and she had gotten home when she normally did. I raced to the back of the house, kind of freaked out, wondering where my wife had gone or why the car was missing. She wasn't anywhere in the house. Getting a little frantic, I pulled out my phone while walking back to the kitchen. I was just about to start dialing my wife when I heard her car pull into the driveway. A minute or two later, she came in wearing her work clothes. My jaw dropped. Immediately, I began to ask her what had happened. She told me she'd just gotten back from work like usual. I explained everything that happened, and all she said was, "Huh, that's weird," then walked off like there was nothing left to discuss. She couldn't be playing some kind of prank on me. How would she have driven the car in and out of the driveway twice without me hearing her? Or get out of the house again without me seeing her? I'm thinking it was some kind of glitch or really crazy deja vu. Honestly, I didn't know if this fits in here, but my friend said I should post it here. So one day, I was doing some work outside, and I was staring at the car windows, and as clear as day, I see a silver star-shaped balloon fly by. This rarely happens because I live right in the middle of nowhere in the countryside. It's literally a 5-minute drive to the next farm, so I'm pretty deserted. So like a little kid, I run out there to see it. But I couldn't see it, so I went on a search and searched the whole farm but couldn't find it. I thought maybe I imagined it or something. 3 weeks later, the day I'm writing this, I go outside and a silver star-shaped balloon flies right where it was supposed to 3 weeks ago. I know it may be far-fetched, but it's kind of like the reflection was 3 weeks early, and honestly, it kind of freaks me out a bit. I don't know if this would be a glitch or a premonition. This happened when I was in my 20s. I'm 33 now. Got up for work like any other day, got ready and left. The whole morning I felt like something was off. like the air was heavier than it usually is. I'm not sure if that has anything to do with what happened or not, but I kind of feel like it does. Anyways, got into the car and started to work. I have to go on the highway, so rush hour gets pretty intense. It was about 15 minutes into my 45-minute commute when I got stuck in a traffic jam. I'm talking complete standstill. I turn up the music and relax since it didn't look like we were going anywhere for a while. A minute or two into that, and the air pressure gets even more intense. Now it feels like a heavy weight pressing down on me. It's almost unbearable. It gets to the point that I feel like I have to pop my ears, but they won't pop. Next thing I know, I catch a glimpse in my rear view mirror of a silver Honda Civic about 2 cars back, getting rear-ended by a blue Ford truck. Not a major crash, just a fender bender. What struck me as odd was that it made no sound. Thinking that I didn't hear it because my ears were needing to pop, I turned all the way around to get a better look. When I did, I noticed that there were no cars behind me. I kind of freaked out, wondering if I was hallucinating or if I had finally cracked. Fast forward to 5 minutes later, and the traffic has moved about 3 feet. Now, there are a couple of cars behind me, and I finally just decided that I need to get more sleep and lay off the coffee. The pressure is still pushing down on me. I'm a little uncomfortable by this point. Now, this time, I was digging in my glove box for some gum to chew to relieve the pressure in my ears, when I clear as day hear a car accident behind me. I turn around and it actually happened. Exactly what I had seen in the rear view mirror only minutes before. A vehicle a couple of cars back got rear-ended by another car coming up. The cars were the exact same color and make I had previously seen too. Right when I noticed it, the pressure lifted from me and the air felt normal again. This probably isn't the scariest because it wasn't a major car crash or anything like that. It's not like I predicted someone's death, but it shook me then and it still shakes me when I think about it. I don't know what happened, but it was weird. Mom and I were in the car, stopped at a red light. Traffic was heavy because of a school letting out nearby. All of these students were jaywalking across the street to get to KFC and Del Taco. We honked at them, and my mom even rolled down the window to yell at some kids. "I'm a teacher. I know who you are." I had laughed and said, "Mom, come on. They know you're not." Anyways, a few days later we were driving down that street again, and now there was a shiny new green fence running all across the length of the street down the middle. I said, "Man, it's about time they put a fence there. Finally those kids will stop walking all over the street." My mom looked at me really confused and told me that the fence had always been there. "What about the other day?" I asked. "Remember? Everyone was walking across the street, and you even yelled that you were a teacher." My mom didn't remember that at all. And yeah, the fence is still there. It always has been. The possibility of it being constructed in those few days is impossible. The location is 2 or 3 miles from our house, and we drive along that road at least twice a week. There's no way a 1/4-mile long iron fence could be installed along an entire street divider in just a matter of days.